Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas. This is how to create a 2D clicker style game in Unity, and welcome to episode 3. So this time we're going to carry on and we're going to create some more UI which will display elements which we have coded into our buttons. So previously we created this button here which said click me, and we attached a script to it which did whatever we wanted it to. So this time we're going to change this button to say make cookies. So in this case what we'll do is on the button, let's change the text to make cookie. And what we'll do is instead of having the script we had attached to it, we'll still use it, but we'll change what it does. So we're going to go into even more coding. And you'll have noticed now I'm using Visual Studio as opposed to MonoDevelop, which I used in the last episode. So going forward, I will be using Visual Studio. Again, if you're using an older version of Unity, which has MonoDevelop, it's perfectly fine. Don't worry. So the script we used last time, that basically just changes the text up here to come on when we press it. So instead of doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to declare some different variables which will allow us to increase our cookie count. So even though we've got this main button click open, we're going to create another script. So right click back in Unity, create C# script, and we will call this one, take caps off there, global cookies. And what we'll be able to do in this script is reference, or rather make a reference to it from any other script that we like. And the reason we're going to do that is because we need to have a global system in place to keep count of how many cookies we have. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of any notes and we'll get rid of void start because we don't need it. So inside the public class, we're going to create a variable which is going to hold the amount of cookies that we have created by clicking the button. And what we'll do is type public. We'll use the word static now. The reason we use static is because this is saying that we can access this particular variable from any other script. So for example, let's have this as an integer and we'll call it cookie count with a semicolon. Now we can reference this cookie count in any other script we create, which is quite handy for us. The next variable we're going to use is going to be public, and we'll do game object, and we're going to call it cookie display semicolon. And in void update, all we need to do is basically make cookie display show how many cookies we have. But doing that, we need to use a UI element like we did technically with this, because although it's UI that we're playing with here, it's actually just setting active and inactive. But this time we're going to go deep into an actual UI element. And because we're doing that, we need to go up here to the namespace. And we need to type using Unity engine .ui with a semicolon. So because we've done that, we now have access to any UI elements within the game objects that we use. So we can do cookie display dot get component, and in spiky brackets the word text with a capital T. And remember, it is case sensitive, so we do have to make sure everything is right here. So obviously G and C on get component capitalized. The variable that we've stated here has to be exactly the same as we've displayed up here. Then we have, again, if we've done it right, we should see text changes color, which means that is exactly right. Then dot text, and that's a lowercase t, and we make that equals, and now we can place our text here. And we can do double quote, and let's type the word cookies with a colon and a space. And then after this second double quote here, we do plus, and then we can place our cookie count. Or we can actually use an internal version. Now, I like to use internal versions for things with static in them, simply because when we attach this script to an object, we know it appears here in the inspector panel because we did it with our button object here. And we can see it here, and we can see the text box here actually displays as an item within the component. When we use the word static, it does not display here. So I like to always have it displaying because I like to be able to see real time what's going on. That said, if we go back to our script and to our variables, if we do public and then int, and let's call it internal cookie, semicolon. So here we have the text plus internal cookie, semicolon. And hopefully at this point, we should notice that internal cookie has never been defined as anything because there's nothing here to say internal cookie is equal to cookie count. So we need to put that before cookie display. Internal cookie equals cookie count, semicolon. And let's save that script. Head back to Unity, and we should hopefully have no errors. Perfect. What we need to do is let's attach, or rather let's detach the, in fact we'll create a new game object just for now. So game object, create empty, right click and rename. Let's just call it something real simple. Mechanics object. And let's attach global cookie. So as we can see over here, although we've declared 3 variables, we only see the 2, and that's because of, like I say, the static one doesn't appear here, but I like to have the internal version. So cookie display, let's create a game object just like this title text here, which I'm going to turn back on now. Then game object, UI, text. So let's set this text similar to this over here. Let's change it to white. Let's make it much bigger. Let's have 30. Let's stretch like so. Place it about there. Now the great thing about this is we have new text written there. However, when we press play, this game object and its script attached to it will automatically run. So let's right click and let's rename, and let's have this cookie display. Not with 2 L's because that's not how you spell display. So mechanics object, let's drag and drop cookie display onto there, and we'll be able to see when we press play that this new text is turned into cookies or cookie. And that is because this script is running. So I'm just going to change that to cookies rather than just cookie. So let's get this working exactly right, because now we need to change the script that's attached to make cookie to change this number here. So on that script, which is main button click, what we'll do is we'll change this line here where it says textbox.setActive. We'll get rid of that completely, and we'll change this to global cookie or global cookies dot cookie count plus equals 1 and a semicolon, and save. It's great because it's just that simple, and all this really does is add 1 to whatever cookie count is actually equal to. So theoretically, if we press play now, we should be able to actually press our make cookie and we'll see this increase. Perfect. So if we click mechanics object in the game view, we can see that our internal cookie, which is what is being displayed here, we're never displaying the actual cookie count, we're displaying internal cookie, but these 2 numbers will be exactly the same because we make them the same right here. Perfect. So we can count, make as many cookies as we need to, and we can see this working real time, no problem. So theoretically, the same can work for selling cookies. Now, I'm going to kind of not cheat a little bit, but speed this through quite nicely because we've already made the mechanics, so we can basically duplicate them. So we can take this text, hold Control, press D to duplicate, move it down, and let's change this to cache display. And let's take this click button. I'm going to right click, rename, call it make button. I'm going to hold Control, press D to duplicate, move it down to about there, F2, and call it sell button. And then change the text on it to obviously say sell cookie. And I think I might change the color as well. So let's change it to a blue color. There we go. So what we need to do here is this mechanics object is let's duplicate the script that we have attached to this button here, which is main button click. So if we go on here, hold Control, press D to duplicate, we should hopefully get an error, which is perfect. I'll explain this error in just a second. And what we'll do is sell cookie. And again, we still got the error. The reason we have the error when we open the script up, no, we don't need to worry about that. The reason we have it is because of this, the public class name. I can't quite remember if I mentioned it last time. Public class name does have to be the same as the script name. So if we change this public class to say sell cookie and save the script, head back to Unity, and it should disappear from down here and in the console. Perfect. So that's the reason we get that error, which is perfectly normal for it to happen. Here, what we'll do is global cookie is cookie count. We'll do minus rather than a plus. So all that's doing is changing the cookie count because we're selling one of the cookies. But on the flip side of that, we also need to change our money. So, for example, we're selling a cookie for $1. So let's get that in place. I'm going to save that script. I'm going to attach sell cookie to button object here, right there. And on the sell button, we just need to change this button object. We already have that set, that's fine. So we can click on the options here, click sell cookie, and I think, what do we have it set as on make cookie? Just quickly check the script. So it's click the button, so it is still click the button. So sell cookie and click the button. So let's just check this works. We should be able to make cookie and sell cookie. Perfect. So now when we sell a cookie, we want to also change this new text here, which is our cash display. And to do that, it's basically the same as global cookie. And what we do, hold Control, press D, let's duplicate that script, change it to global cash. And let's modify it. Remember, we need to change here. So global cookies, change to global cash. Change cookie count to cash count. We'll change this to cash display and internal cash. So then also we need to change it down here. So internal cookie becomes internal cash. Cookie count becomes cash count. And cookie display becomes cash display. And once again over here, internal cash. And here we'll just change that to a $sign and a quote. So we should be able to display a $sign and then however much we have or whatever internal cash is equal to. So we'll save that script, head back to Unity to make sure we don't have an error down here. Perfect. So then the last thing to do is on sell cookie. When we click the button, we need to change that to, well, we need to keep that, sorry. So we need to minus a cookie, and we also need to have global cash dot cash count plus equals 1, semicolon, and save. And then we need to attach global cash to our mechanics object right there. And in mechanics object, just set our display, which is cash display right there. Now let's press play. And we can see cookies 0. Lovely. And now let's sell cookie. You can see our cash increases. So obviously there's no limitations to this. We can sell cookies we don't own. So we can make millions and millions of dollars. Obviously this will be countered at some point because we'll need to make code which says, nope, we can't sell because we don't have any. So next episode, we're going to look into this mechanics more and hopefully get a fairly simple version working nicely. So we'll stop ourselves from being able to sell all these cookies that we don't own. Remember, if you have any problems with these scripts, they're on the website. Head over there and they're in the downloads and assets section. And guys, I will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching.